Yo, what's going on, guys? Your boy and Putty God is back at it again with a Beyblade Burst update. This time it's going to be a full 100% detailed analysis of the new CHO Z SPRIGGAN. So yeah, it's been a while since I've done these types of videos, but I always like doing them. I finally got a chance to like sit down and actually look at this Bey, and it's crazy because basically someone in Korea got a hold of the set early and they're showing us off the contents, that being the new Beyblades in it. So our focus for today, though, is going to be the new CHO Z SPRIGGAN, which I believe is 0W Zeta Prime. Anyway, though, these leaks are pretty insane as they are, and I do have to give credit to the people who are posting them. So links to the video will be down below. But yeah, I think them revealing this info publicly and so early is kind of like a crazy big risk that they're doing. So props to them. Anyway, let's begin. So I have the video pulled up here, and I'm just going to go over it as I'm talking, so here we go. So yeah, there's like no dialogue here. He's showing off the new Spriggan. First off, we see like a full front picture, which really like, there's been promo pictures of this already, so I guess it's not a big deal per se. But yeah, I honestly, he's going to take it apart now. Okay, here we go. The layer again, honestly, it looks like a combination of Requiem and Legend Spriggan, if I had to put it bluntly. It still remains, or it still kind of contains that round shape that Spriggan Requiem had, but it does seem a little bit more jagged and more spiky, reminiscent of Legend Spriggan. So I would say it's just a combination of both. It also is pretty chunky, and as far as metal goes, I do believe it has metal on it. I mean, it wouldn't be considered a CHO Z SPRIGGAN if it didn't have one, or didn't have any metal in it. So yeah, he's just showing it off, and unfortunately the quality isn't like 100% HD here. He might be using like just like a phone or something, but at the very least we do get to see, you know, a pretty good close-up. The center, once again, is a metal level chip, which I'm sure we all expected this. Ever since Legend of Spriggan, they have maintained the metal, not the metal level chip, but the metal god chip in the center. So that's pretty neat. It's like a nice gold color. And then the center, if you guys kind of see that, it has like a gold, or it has like a axe motif in it, also reminiscent of Requiem and Legend Spriggan. So it just, I think it's borrowing a lot of components from the previous two designs. So just, like I said, reminiscent of previous designs, all kind of come together into this new Spriggan. Another thing I wanted to point out is that maybe it's his camera, but the colors look really kind of vivid here. It's really just like a combination of red and gold and black. It honestly looks pretty clean. I kind of like this color scheme. It's simple, but it's like nice. It's, you know, it's very good combination of parts, and it looks like he has put stickers on it. So I do believe that those black accents are stickers. So will these peel off over time? Probably. So who knows? I'm not sure how it looks exactly without stickers, but one thing's for sure is that these things do look like stickers to me. So moving on, though, he is starting to show off the gimmick here for the layer, which is actually pretty interesting. I think it might be the first of its kind. So what he's doing is he's pushing in these segments inwards and outwards, and it basically looks like each side has two of these plastic black segments that can be pushed inwards and outwards. So they're kind of like little wings per se. It's interesting because, like, if the way he's showing is that these things kind of pop out and click out. So if there's two on each side and either like each individual one can be pushed in and out, that would mean that there would be a lot of modes for this layer alone, which I think is actually kind of crazy. So I'm not sure what they define a mode, but it could be that we could have like up to 2 or 3 different modes if we can count these spikes as being inwards and outwards, or even more modes. Who knows? That's crazy though. And then next off, he shows off like a tool here, which I'm assuming is to switch the spin direction of the layer, because usually the tool to switch spin direction is built into the launchers, but I don't think this set actually comes with one. So anyway, now he's showing off the bottom of the layer, which actually we get to see really clearly. First things first though, look at those teeth. Those teeth look pretty spiky, and just because it does have the 2 sets of teeth, it's safe to assume that it is going to be dual rotation, which if you guys don't know, that was also a trend with Legend Spriggan and Spriggan Requiem. So a lot of different components once again. So dual rotation was expected, and it's confirmed now. You could also see the bottom of the God chip, which is metal. And then just the underside itself is super chunky. Like, it's a whole solid layer, which I mean, we could assume that it's going to be a heavier layer anyway, so I could definitely see this being like a top defense or stamina layer just because of its weight alone. And the other thing we see, which isn't really kind of explained much right here, but the springs. So let me just go back a tiny bit. So there are springs in the layer, and personally, I think that these springs play a role as to how those contact points come in and out. Now, I could be wrong, but I think that might be how they come, or I guess they get pushed inwards and outwards. So that's interesting. I wish we would know more about those, but he doesn't really, I guess, go into detail with them. And now he's trying to switch the direction, which he finally does. And it looks like it's a really tight lock. That's nice to know because I've heard that that lock alone does wear over time. So if they've improved that, then that's good. But he switched it to right spin now. And basically, he's showing it off again. Really, it looks really chunky, and I think it's gonna be crazy. Just looking at the layer alone. And then here's the kind of disappointing part for me was the disc. It's 0, so they didn't do anything to this disc. I kind of expected like a 0 dash maybe, but I mean 0 is still like a standalone good disc. Like there's nothing wrong with it. So I guess I could see why they didn't feel a reason to, I guess, evolve it or improve it. It's a pretty solid disc as it is. So just a basic 0 disc. You know, nothing really out of the ordinary here. And then next up is the frame. So this frame looks interesting, and it is a W frame. I'm not sure what the name is. If you guys do know, correct me down in the comment section. But this thing looks kind of like a super chunky, round, wide frame, if I just had to put it that way. It really just kind of reminds me of like just a defense type layer almost. So yeah, it's pretty thick. It's got, you know, like these almost contact points on the sides. Let's see if I can pull that up again. So yeah, so here we go. We got these contact points that look really kind of thick, and they look like they actually extend downwards a pretty significant amount. So I'm not sure how this frame will be. All I know is that it looks really chunky, and I'm sure it might be one of the heaviest frames that will be released. Now, I think it is also just like a one-sided frame, so it's not going to be like lift. Which that would have been cool to see, but so far it looks like it is just one-sided. And then we have Zeta Prime, which a lot of people were kind of disappointed with this because we kind of expected something along the lines of like a upgraded Zeta, but they just kind of made a regular Zeta but with a reinforced spring, hence the name Zeta Dash, not Prime. I keep having to correct myself for that. But yeah, this is Zeta Dash. You guys could tell that it is Dash just because it has the plastic as red. So that means it's got an improved spring, it's going to be increased tightness, and all that good stuff. And it just looks like your basic Zeta. I think the tips are not changed, which is also kind of a disappointment. But now he's putting it, just all its components, and there you have it. I mean, it's really just all that. And just, once again, looking at that frame though, I think it looks pretty wide. I'm not going to lie. I'm actually kind of surprised that it has a frame, because I know Requiem didn't have one, and neither did Legend Spriggan. So I guess to give that a frame was kind of cool. I guess it just makes it like a little bit different than the previous Spriggans that we've had. So what we're gonna do now is move onwards to the actual test battles that he does. So one thing that I want to make clear here is that any kind of stock battle really isn't clear enough. So when you see stock battles, my advice as a Beytuber would be just keep in mind that these battles are not going to prove that a part's really good or not, because they are just stock battles. They're not done 100% properly, and there's no definitive answer. So these battles might show the Beyblade losing, but it doesn't mean it's terrible, is what I'm trying to say. So right now we get to the first test battle, which he does against, he actually does a miss launch. So we're going to try this again. So he doesn't do a very good job at launching, which I don't understand why, but he battles it against Geist Fafnir, which looks to be stock. And I think it loses this round. So yeah, it just kind of loses around. One little thing I noticed right now is that it did scrape a significant amount. So that frame definitely does reach downwards somewhat. Now he did switch the modes on Zeta to what I believe is the ball mode, or wide ball mode, whatever you want to call it. And then he does another round against Guy Fafnir, which it actually, once again, loses to. So, yeah, like I said though, these stock rounds really can't prove much. I just want to make that clear to you guys. And so now, he's going to battle it against Yamiterios or Shadow Materials. And we're going to see, yet again, another test battle here. So, once again, super weak launches. I'm kind of like triggered that he's doing such a poor job launching. But yeah, we just see it getting hit, and it's holding up pretty well as expected. And it actually does win this round, so that's a good thing. Now, it looks like he's just kind of switching modes in between every round. And just like a bunch of stock battles, pretty much. It really doesn't get any better than this. It's just, he's just showing it off. That's kind of it for the video itself. Now, just some finishing thoughts. It could be just because of its weak launches that the Spriggan isn't moving a lot, because I just don't see it moving a lot. It could also mean that it is going to be on the heavier side. Just the fact that it's a heavy layer or a chunky layer with zero and then a chunky frame, I definitely see it being more of a heavier CHO Z. Now, I know CHO Z is already heavy as it is, so we really don't know how heavy we're talking, but it looks pretty heavy. Now, I do wish he launched harder, because it would be easier to tell how it actually performs in battle, but I mean, it is what it is. He didn't do a good job launching, but he still showed off the Spriggan, which I think is awesome. So once again, big thanks to that person who actually made this video. I think it's pretty crazy that they're showing it off so early, because we are in October, and I think it's still going to be like a month before we actually see this in real life or in for sale. So be sure though, your boy is going to be trying to get it early, because you know it's Spriggan. Everyone is looking forward to this release, I'm sure. And just one other thing I wanted to mention is that people keep saying that there's no level chip compartment or anything, and that's true. I don't see anything for the level chip. That's something that I noticed pretty quick. And now I guess the reasoning behind that, I don't know exactly. All I know is that like it could be just because it is dual rotation. I don't think it's possible to have a level chip with dual rotation involved. I just think that's how the gimmick works, and I mean, I could be wrong, but that's my theory, and I think a lot of other people agree that because of that, you can't actually put a level chip. Anyway, though, that's it for this analysis. Now, I know it wasn't like 100% perfect detailed, but at the very least, I'm hoping to, I guess, keep you guys a little bit more informed, and just maybe you found out something new about the Spriggan today in this video. Who knows? Anyway, though, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and do stay tuned for more videos coming very soon. And until next time, guys, see ya.